all indications are that the Japanese do not have the situation under good control.
Oh, that's reassuring.
Libya's fallen fighters, government forces claim a key town, but the US insists the noose is tightening around Muammar Gaddafi.
Let me get my lunch here.
Security forces storm a protesters' camp in Yemen witnesses its biggest anti-government demonstrations yet.
It's a pretty good deal. All these gyoza for only about $1.50.
Assessing the damage from one of the world's most powerful ever earthquakes.
138
Fires
yen.
are burning out of control. Entire towns have been engulfed by mud and water from a powerful tsunami spawned by the quake. At least 573 people are so far confirmed killed. More than 700 more still missing. Steam containing low-level radiation has been released from 2 damaged nuclear reactors after cooling systems failed. The broadcaster NHK says more than 5 million homes across Japan are without power. And tsunami waves caused damage as far away as California, and evacuations have been ordered in Chile.
Jesus.
And let's get more on what Japan's calling an atomic emergency. Radiation levels at a nuclear plant damaged by the quake have been recorded at 1,000 times above normal. People living near the Fukushima plant, 240 kilometers north of Tokyo, have been evacuated. The cooling systems in 2 reactors failed when the quake caused a power outage. Steam is being released to relieve the pressure. The vapor is radioactive, but safety officials say there's no immediate health hazard. Japan's Prime Minister Naoto Kan says the nuclear facility is his most pressing concern.
At the moment, we have ordered a 10-kilometre exclusion zone around the facility. I'm going there with experts from the industry to talk with the people responsible on the ground and to grasp how the situation is. On this basis, we will make the necessary decisions.
Okay, well, let's talk now to Al Jazeera's Steve Chow joins us on the line from Tokyo. Steve, clearly one of the most pressing concerns at the moment is these nuclear leaks. Do you know what's being done about them?
Well, very much so, Laura. As you mentioned, the state of emergency has been declared for 5 nuclear reactors at 2 different sites, and at this point, there was a mad scramble to try to cool the nuclear cores in several of these facilities. We understand that the U.S. Air Force, which has many military bases in and around Japan, has shipped some coolant to 1 nuclear facility, but at this point, it is a big concern. One senior scientist from the U.S. looking at the situation says that Japan may face a disaster on the scale of Chernobyl if they are unable to cool these nuclear cores. The concern right now is the possibility within these containment facilities might have a meltdown in the next few hours. Right now, to cool off.
Well.
According to one Japanese expert that has been looking at the situation, she has declared that perhaps one of the humanitarian relief efforts of epic proportions that we've seen in history. We are talking about not only an 8.8 or 8.9 magnitude earthquake, but the massive tsunami that slowly rolled across the northeast portion of Japan yesterday. We have towns like Sendai, a capital city in Miyagi Prefecture, that faced a lot of this destruction and the force of this tsunami. At the same time, we're hearing countless reports of many villages as well as other smaller cities entirely engulfed by mud and water. We've seen a lot of reports in the recent hours of school children caught on rooftops, of collapsed buildings. At the same time, we're hearing of staff in hospitals waving flags and waving banners urging for food and aid. A lot of aid agencies, such as the Red Cross, have flown their people in and around the disaster sites to assess the damage. In the next few hours, we understand a lot of relief crews are trying to open the roads into these areas.
Here, of course, is Tokyo.
Trapped in and around the disaster zone.
Big disaster place is right around here.
Emergency response units to these areas.
Fukushima.
Well, you know,
Iwate.
To earthquakes, but they have never faced something of this size and magnitude. Saying that, however,
it's over here too is some trouble. Niigata.
It is the top priority to bring relief to these areas. They've already budgeted a special budget at this point for emergency relief. They were also going to stand discussing with about 45 countries whether to send in extra relief teams into Japan to help out in the next upcoming days. It will be utmost of importance in terms of coordination, how this entire relief effort is being coordinated. But at this point, it's a mad scramble in and around Tokyo, just outside this airport. We've heard of mayhem, not only on the expressways, which are still closed, but also on a lot of the small roads as people try to get still back to their homes. Many people were trapped overnight in Tokyo City itself because public transit was shut off. Some of the railways have begun to open, but there's still a massive backlog, and that's just in Tokyo, which felt the earthquake, but didn't see the main brunt of that tsunami. That's further up north, and up north is a serious area of concern.
Steve Chow, thank you very much for joining us there with all the very latest from Tokyo.
God.
Well, as we said, it's nearly 24 hours now since the earthquake struck Japan. Residents along South America's west coast are being moved to higher ground as a precaution against a possible tsunami. Chilean officials ordered the evacuation of all coastal areas, including Talcahuano, one of the ports devastated by a tsunami last year. And in Peru, schools and tourist attractions were shut down. All the country's ports were also closed until further notice. Well, waves, meanwhile, have swamped beaches in Hawaii, and high waters have reached the west coast of the U.S. mainland. These pictures show boats coming off their moorings in Santa Cruz in California. The U.S. is sending 4 naval ships to Japan after the government there asked for help. Well, Japan is no stranger to earthquakes. Buildings there are designed to withstand them. These are pictures which are testament to their resilience. This amateur video clearly showing skyscrapers in Tokyo swaying during the quake. Now keep an eye on the dark building in the middle. You can perhaps get a better idea of just how much these buildings move by speeding up the pictures. And bear in mind, this area of Tokyo is hundreds of kilometers from the epicenter. Well, Justin Rubinstein is a research geophysicist at the US Geological Survey, and he joins us now live from San Francisco. We saw the immediate effect there of the quake on buildings in Tokyo, but it's actually a tsunami, isn't it, that caused this that we're seeing damage?
I'm just going to bake these. Not going to use any fat, oil, no thank you. And after that, we'll have them with some vinegar. All this for about $1.50, not bad. Yow! It's hot.
As you say, they're very well prepared. They did have an early warning system in place. But we got reports yesterday that 1 minute before the quake actually struck. Is that enough time for anyone to react?
That's right. Well, that's about as well as we can do with the current tools of seismology. And really, there is a lot you can do in a minute or 30 seconds, be it secure things that you don't want to be breaking, be it putting yourself in a safer position, getting away from things that will fall on you, or getting underneath a table so that things won't fall on you, or most notably what they do in Japan is that they are able to stop the Shinkansen and the bullet trains that they have there. And so
TVs
that means you're less likely to have a derailing and
have
a catastrophe.
I thought I was seeing news from the
I was seeing plenty of
war in
activity
Libya
before, and indeed still now after the quake of Friday. How long can we expect seeing aftershocks for?
Spanish newspaper.
Well, the aftershocks are going to last for years. If you look at the Sumatra earthquake from 2004, which was a little bit bigger than this earthquake, maybe a 9.2 as opposed to a 9.0.
Main story.
If you think back just to last year, there was a magnitude 7 aftershock of that earthquake, a full 6 years after the Sumatra event. So certainly Japan is going to be seeing aftershocks for a very long time.
Now, was there any way of predicting this period of increased activity in this area?
Well, certainly we don't have any predictions of earthquakes.
But
there were some precursory events, or events that we would call foreshocks. About 2 days before the magnitude 8.9 event, there was a 7.2 earthquake that happened nearby, and there were a series of 3 other magnitude 6.
Oh, we've just lost Justin Rubinstein there. He was just finishing up his answer on the predictions to this massive amount of earthquake activity that we've been seeing in Japan from the 8.9 earthquake that we saw yesterday on the northeastern coast of Japan. Let's move on to some other news now. And the Israeli military says 5 Israeli settlers have been killed by a Palestinian inside their home in the occupied West Bank. Now, the attack happened on Friday night in Itamar, settlement south of Nablus.
Surprise.
Israeli media reports
story.
say a mother, father and 3 children, including a baby aged 3 months, was stabbed to death. The Israeli military says it's searching for the attacker. To Yemen now, and we're hearing that some 50 protesters have been injured in clashes with security forces in Yemen's capital, Sana'a. Hashim Al-Barak joins us now on the line. Hashim, tell us what's been happening.
Just hope there are not any more quakes or aftershocks.